So currently there are two teams that are playing in the English league system that come from the Channel Islands. The Channel Islands, if you don't know, are small islands off the coast of France in the English Channel. Guernsey have had a team in the English system since 2011, and starting this season, Jersey also have one. It's very expensive. They have to pay for the travel of themselves and opposition teams to fly to games. It's quite a unique situation, and is it a feasible long-term strategy to actually be able to run a football club from this location? We'll be looking at it all in this video. But first of all, this video is sponsored by One Football, which is a good way to stay up to date with lots of different information from across the footballing world, be that in different leagues in England, also in Europe and across the world as well. There's lots of different information that you can find on there, such as lineups, stats, fixtures, results, league tables, and lots of different things. It's a highly rated app with average ratings of 4.7 and 4.8 on Apple and Android, with over 1 million people voting for their rating on Android. And yeah, I do recommend that you go and download it. The link to download it, if you haven't already, is in the top line of the description. But let's get into this video. Can you run a football team long term in the English league system from the Channel Islands? So the island of Guernsey have had a football team in the English league system since 2011. They entered it in the 10th tier and have risen up to the 8th tier. They got 2 promotions in the first 2 seasons to get to the 8th tier, and that's where they've stayed ever since. They've really just established themselves as an 8th tier club. Now, in terms of the size of Guernsey as an island, it's got a population of around 63,000, which is similar to my hometown of Kidderminster. The team was created when a representative team from the highest league on the island of Guernsey won the FA National League System Cup, and as a result qualified to represent England in the 2011 UEFA Regions Cup. This was the catalyst that led to the idea of creating a team to play in the English league system, and Guernsey FC was born. Arguably the island's most famous footballer, Matt Le Tissier, has been involved with the club for a long time as well. He actually did play a game for the club. Despite having a big name involved, they haven't managed to rise any higher than the 8th tier. As I mentioned, they have been stuck there for the previous 6 seasons. The last 4 of those have seen them finish in the bottom half. So you could see that as them just becoming established, and the fact that they've found their level, or you could see that they're stagnating a bit and haven't got the potential that maybe they thought they had. But then again, where is the potential for Guernsey? As I mentioned, it is a relatively small island with just over 60,000 people living there. So how high in the pyramid can you realistically go? Entering the Combined Counties League Division 1 was an interesting move because geographically it isn't even the closest to Guernsey. So if you're going to go on a boat from Guernsey back to England, the Combined Counties League Division 1 does not contain teams from the south coast particularly. It's mainly teams from in and around London. Now the reason for this is because teams generally fly to Guernsey, and they're mainly flying from airports in and around London, and this is what Guernsey have to pay for. They have to pay for the travel of teams coming to and from Guernsey, as well as the accommodation for the entire team and a number of members of staff as well as transport for their own team to games. Looking at the 17-18 season, their budget for transport was £125,000. That for the 8th tier of English football is absolutely crazy, and it is helped by the attendances that they have at their games, which are actually for the league very, very high. They've had an average this season of over 812 to be exact, which is almost double the 435 that second placed in terms of attendances Hastings United have been having, and almost 9 times the amount that the lowest attended team in the league, VCD Athletic, have been having, with just 92 people going through the gates. The difference that can make is obviously huge, and that helps to offset the cost of the transport. But if they didn't have to do that transport, obviously they have a lot more money coming into the playing budget, and that would obviously mean that they could compete probably at a higher level than they are now, and it is that transport that is really holding them back. Something that in the long term will help to cut costs is the fact that right now they have got plans accepted for a new stadium to be built for the club that they will share with the Guernsey Football Association as their head offices essentially. Now this stadium is going to actually be partly funded through grants from the English Football Association. They need to move grounds because currently they are playing at Foots Lane, which is an athletic stadium they do just rent to stay in, so obviously that adds to the costs as well. Obviously another challenge that they have is actually physically attracting the players to come to Guernsey, because most likely you're going to have to get players that actually want to live in Guernsey or do currently live in Guernsey, rather than just getting players that are going to come and travel. If they're a professional team that was able to pay good wages, then this wouldn't be a big problem, because players will go wherever they can get their money and wherever they can get a route into the professional game. But with them being in the 8th tier and some professional, it is going to be a challenge to attract players. What's going to be an even bigger challenge is on the island of Jersey, who have just started their own team. It was founded in 2018 but is now in its first competitive league season currently, in the same league that Guernsey first began in, the Combined Counties Division 1, the 10th tier of English football. They're currently right up at the top of the table and have won every single one of their games so far. They're doing very well and it looks like they're on course for promotion. Similarly to Guernsey, as part of their allowance to join the English league system, they are going to have to pay for the travel of themselves and their opposition to and from games. So effectively this is the same story as Guernsey, but this is just the start of the process that Guernsey have now gone through. Will Jersey be able to do it a bit differently and continue to grow through more leagues than what Guernsey did? I'm not too sure. But one thing that does help is the population on the island of Jersey is almost double that of Guernsey. The population is just over 100,000, which can help grow the number of people at games in terms of the crowd to a higher number, as well as potentially having a larger pool of players to try and pick from in their early years. Do you think that realistically these two clubs can actually succeed and get to the higher levels of non-league football and maybe even push for the Football League in the next few years? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, because it is really interesting that Jersey have seen what Guernsey have done and thought, yeah, this is actually something that we could do and we want to get involved in the English Pyramid, challenge the players. If you enjoyed this video, remember to hit that like button and click subscribe as well, so update with lots of different situations like this one and unique stories from non-league football, as well as lots of different information videos as well. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.